I want to both condemn the move, but also talk about how difficult it was to even get to Hamlin from that far back. Like he entered the final sequence of corners about 8 tenths behind Hamlin because of the tire disadvantage that he had to the 11 car, and Ross Chastain managed to not only completely overshoot the entry, obviously on purpose, but he was carrying so much speed that he was able to clip the tire wall that was on the inside of the first right-hander in the chicane, completely sideswipe Hamlin, spin them both out, and I think had Ross been able to somehow, get his car on the rebound with Hamlin when they hit a second time while they were spinning onto the front stretch, I think had he been able to get a little bit more rebound there, he might have been able to pull it off. With that said, that obviously isn't what happened, and yeah, it always comes down to the playoffs and kind of what you think of them. Obviously, the move was extremely insane, super desperate. I think anybody and their mother could tell that, and I do think that in a way it tells a compelling story, but I think we've got to really sink our teeth back into the situation here. We're talking about the eighth and tenth best drivers this year, fighting for a couple spots in a cutoff race that's completely manufactured. Why do they still have a chance, quote unquote, to race for a championship at this point in the season when they clearly haven't earned it compared to drivers like William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, etc. So yeah, I think the move was exciting. Again, I think that it was extremely hard to pull off to even get to Hamlin and try to make something happen. But at the end of the day, it brings you back to the playoff system. And, personally, I don't want to see drivers have to do stuff like that or feel that they have to do stuff like that. I think that desperation should be a little bit more prized than abused like it is in NASCAR. I think that this format rewards it far too often, and I just don't think that it's a good look for the sport when you have guys out there just flying in 20 miles per hour faster than they're supposed to and colliding with a driver completely recklessly. I just don't think that's a good look. I don't think it's a good look when Xfinity drivers start passing other guys under yellow on the final lap because they think it might enhance their playoff advantage as well. So, we saw it in two different series in the span of about 24 hours where the playoff format as a whole kind of got exposed yet again as just another cheap gimmick in the France family's playbook.
Yeah, I think this move definitely, although it was exciting, although it will likely be the number one most viewed marketing tool for NASCAR, like the Hail Melon was 3 years prior, unfortunately, it brings bad light to a sport that's down bad, for a lack of a better term. I guess that's more of a my generation type of thing, maybe a little younger, that phrase. But yeah, it was silly, but you gotta respect it because there is no one who has the melons in this sport besides Ross Chastain to do silly things like that. Whether it's the Hail Melon, nobody else has ever thought to do that. He goes out and does it. And then going from however many feet back on old tires to try to, I don't know what he was thinking besides trying to make the transfer. Like, take a look at what he did there. He wrecked himself. He wrecked Hamlin. But it's just one of those things that happens. But yeah, it definitely doesn't look good for the sport. But from an outside perspective, you have to give Chastain kind of the nod. Although it was silly, nothing happened from it, I mean, you got to respect it. That's why I'm giggling. That's why I actually met Ross Chastain wearing the shirt at Utica Rome when he made a appearance. So thanks, Ross. This is a Christopher Bell term. Maybe we'll see Team Penske and Joey Logano wearing it on Monday because ultimately, yeah, thank you to them. It is funny that he crossed the line right behind Logano, even though he was backwards, too. And I joked on Twitter, or X, whatever we call it nowadays, if I had a nickel for every time a former or current colleague racing driver finish this race backwards across the line. I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, obviously, but it's weird that it happened twice because not only did Ross Chastain, former colleague Xfinity driver, finish the race backwards, AJ Allmendinger got hit by Suarez, slammed the wall. Suarez trying to come back onto the track, which we'll talk about. And Allmendinger reversed it across the line too. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was kind of a weird coincidence, or I guess it'd be ironic. Either way, yeah, silly. It does make the sport look less serious. But I guess for NASCAR in general, a lot of people are looking at you less serious. The fact that Ross Chastain, like Tanner had mentioned, had to try to do something like that to try to advance. And like the 8th and 10th best drivers really this season are fighting like that, to where that was really the only action that was worth watching, it seemed like, the last couple laps, considering Shane Van Gisbergen had a 15-second lead. But no, I mean, that was incredible. So shout out him. I had Wendy's yesterday. Of course, I did. Look at me. But that's what you get, a free Frosty, I think, with the top 10. I think they got 2 of them, too, with Suarez. But, yeah, it was silly, made the sport look less serious. But I guess it's good for the attention for the sport. I don't know what else it really does. It just sucks. Chastain is, though, I give him credit where I think credit's due. I know desperate times call for desperate measures. It was a silly move, but at the same time, who else in this sport would try something like that? And I don't know if there's anyone besides Ross Chastain that would try to send it from they're in Concord, so where is he, in Mooresville, trying to make the pass there? But good for him. So that's, tip my invisible cap to him for that. But fortunately, he's eliminated. Now he's back to 11th, 1 spot ahead of SVG because the points reset. So Shane's 12th, Ross is 11th, Bubba's 10th, Tyler Reddick's now 9th in the standings, as they can make it all the way up to 5th before the season ends.
I have to say, when it comes to the Chastain move, this is something I thought, okay, when you introduce an elimination style format, when you in every position is worth a single point, I felt this was something that, okay, you could expect somebody to give the bumper for that position. And we've seen it, and some of it, I think of, like, for example, Matt Kansas, Joey Logano. Grant, they were fighting for a win. Win, you're in again. But Logano not giving up. We then see it again, and I would say the more egregious version of it, trying to get into playoffs, Austin Dillon last year at Richmond. Winning, you're in. Second would not cut it, and as he said, he saw red and made 2 bold moves to try to get into the playoffs. NASCAR then said he's not going into playoffs because of what he did. What I really liked about the Hail Melon was the Hail Melon did not just wipe out somebody. It did not, cause a big crash where you had a bunch of torn up equipment. It was one driver that said, I'm just going to take the leap of faith flat out against the wall, do a video game move, and see if it worked, and it worked. And you saw the team go from we're out to we're in, and just pure elation of we are advancing because of this crazy move, which since then NASCAR has banned. This move, had it worked, I wonder would people be saying, hey NASCAR, do you really want Ross Chastain to advance through a move like that if you're not going to allow Austin Dillon to do that last year?
They absolutely want that to happen, because if you remember, Joe, during the broadcast today, they did have a commercial about the playoffs where Austin Dillon, they had it from Joey Logano's rear view camera, the Richmond finish, where, again, Austin Dillon got penalized to the point that he did not advance for that move. So they do want this for their marketing campaign, whether it works or not.
Yeah. Don't you think it is kind of bad, though, that NASCAR has to rely on silly stuff that doesn't matter in order to advance their marketing efforts? Like, you kind of feel bad in a sense.
I don't feel bad.
But I don't know what it's like. They have so many things that they can research and try to figure out how to advance, because obviously the ratings aren't doing well. A lot of people love the system, but more people hate the system. And then they have to rely on illegal stuff, whether it's showing the Ross Chastain move, whether it's showing Austin Dillon, who got stripped of his playoff eligibility, like you said, for trying to send Logano into a different part of Virginia during that race. So it was like, and then Hamlin too. So yeah, I just want to add to that. But yeah, it's like you feel bad, but you don't at the same time.